ugly.
Five.
Who are the best and who are the worst NFL teams? It's Mike Gill's Fine Five and Ugly Five on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's football station.
All right, Fine Five, Ugly Five, five best, five worst teams as voted on each week by us. No rhyme or reason, just the five teams we think are the best, the five teams we think are the worst. The fifth worst team in the NFL.
So this is the worst team or the
Fifth worst.
It's the best of the worst, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't play the game a lot, so sometimes I need the rules explained to me again. Mine would be San Francisco, 2-10. You have to put them in there, but you have to put them in the least of the ugly five by their virtue of their win over Chicago. A former Bear, by the way, won the game, Robbie Gould. Jimmy Garoppolo, decent in his debut, no touchdowns. 293 yards, though. If they don't watch it, though, they're going to play their way in front of the Giants and let New York get pick number 2.
I have the Colts, actually, as my best of the worst teams. They've scored more points this year than the 49ers. They've done enough. They've actually have 2 home wins, 1 win on the road. I think they're a little bit less worse than the 49ers. That's not saying much, though.
No. I got the Bears, number 5. They've scored the least out of all these teams. 191 out of the teams we're talking about anyway. They've lost 5 in a row. They've given up a ton of points. And Trubisky, they're 1-9 in the conference, by the way, which is another, you know, you can't win in your conference, you're in trouble.
I have that
note. The Trubisky kid, though, to me has not come very far from where he started to where he is now. And he has a running game. They have a good running game, and he still struggles a bit. So, Josh, you might have been right on Trubisky. He sucks.
Which is why I have the Bears at number 4, guys. 3-9 record. They have turned to Mitchell Trubisky. He definitely has those growing pains. 5 touchdowns in 8 games, basically less than a touchdown a game. They're 0-4 in that NFC North. That's never good. Like you said, Mike Gill, 1-9 in the NFC. I have them bad, but I don't have them as I have the Niners ahead of them because the Niners beat them.
I have the 49ers at number 4. Jimmy Garoppolo looked fine. He didn't look great, but he looked fine for the 49ers. They got a road win. Pete mentioned Robbie Gould getting the field goal. I think the 49ers are trending upward right now, and I think you got to give them a little credit. They were my number 2 team for a long time, but they've dropped to number 4 now, so good for them.
San Francisco, for me, Garoppolo stabilizes them, gives them of all these teams, it's kind of, one of these teams has a legit guy they're going back to, but we digress. That's part of the reason why they're a little higher in this conversation. But San Francisco has a quarterback, the Bears don't, and the 3 teams in front of them have all sorts of questions there. So San Francisco's number 4 in the ugly 5.
My number 3 in the uglies, the Colts, 3-9. Now, Josh thinks more of the Colts than I do. They got blown out at Jacksonville. They trailed 10-zip. They trailed 24-3. They basically had 1 home run play on 4th and 2 from Jacoby Brissett to T.Y. Hilton, but it's still 3 straight losses, 6 out of 7, officially eliminated from the AFC South playoff race. But let's be honest, they were irrelevant long before this past Sunday, and that gets them in at the 3 spot on my ugly 5.
The number 3 spot is the Bears. This team has a head coach who is basically a lame duck. John Fox, I can't see a situation where he's the head coach after this year. That team's a mess. They basically have a couple nice players, and that is absolutely it.
Got a dead man walking here. Got a dead man walking.
I got Denver. They've lost 8 in a row, and we used to talk about how great their defense was. 315 points. They're atrocious on defense. Heck, they gave up 35 points to the Miami Dolphins last week. That puts you number 3 in the ugly 5. Denver. I don't know that the coach is going to make it through the offseason. He might be a one-and-doner. That's how bad they've been.
Going to number 2, and this was tough because of how dysfunctional they are, but I put the Giants at the number 2 spot. The way they handled the Eli situation, the fact that they can't beat the Raiders when Oakland had nobody to throw the football to. Amari Cooper gone, Michael Crabtree suspended. The Giants get the penultimate spot. There's a word for you. The penultimate spot, Mike Gill, in my ugly 5 basement.
Giants number 2 for me as well. Listen, I've had them at 2 for a couple weeks now. The total dysfunction of that franchise is absolutely appalling, embarrassing. John Mara and the Tisch family, that whole group, ownership group, should be absolutely embarrassed about how far this organization has fallen, and it's their own fault for letting it get this far.
Yeah, the Giants are 2 for me. The whole circus that's been going on up there, quite frankly, they're the worst team right now. Of all the NFC teams, they are ranked dead last. They are the worst team in the NFC, statistically speaking. San Francisco beat them. They're both 2-10, so San Francisco's ahead of them. They go back to Eli this week. The circus continues. They fired their coach. They fired the GM. This is a team that won 11 games 1 year ago. But for this year, they're number 2 in the ugly 5.
And my number 1 ugliest team, I'll tell you, it was close because of what the Giants did with Eli and how much of a mess they are, but you got to put Cleveland at number 1. How do you not put a winless team at the very top or bottom, if you will, of the uglies? 4 games left to get that win. I ask you both, where is it? They're home with the Packers. They're home with the Ravens. Packers are playing to get Aaron Rodgers back. The Ravens are a possible playoff team. They're at the Bears. They're at the Steelers to close things out. Maybe Chicago in Week 16, Cleveland gets a win. Maybe. They're my number 1 ugly 5.
The Browns have scored the least total points in the NFL at 176. So, of course, they're the ugliest team in the NFL.
Yeah, Cleveland, you stink. Fine 5. Here they are, 5 best. Number 5. We'll go the other way, Josh.
All right.
Number 5, I'm going New Orleans Saints redemption game last week. Beat a very good Panthers team at home. They have a great running game. That Kamara-Ingram tandem has been excellent for them, taking some pressure off of Drew Brees, Pete.
This is where it's tough because I like the Saints, but I've got the Steelers as my number 5 at 10-2. Even when they don't look that sharp, they find a way to win, get a Boswell field goal in Cincinnati. It's 7 in a row. They have the inside track to win the AFC North. They could be a 1 or 2 seed in the AFC playoffs, and they are 4-0 in their Division 2. That should not be discounted.
I got the Rams, 361, highest scoring team in the league with the Eagles. Both teams exactly 361. But they also play good defense. They might have the best defensive player in the league, Aaron Donald. I like the Rams at number 5.
My number 4 team is the Vikings. Big win on the road over the Falcons, over the Lions. Keenum is playing well. They have a decent running game. The defense is playing at a high level. I think this team has sustainability. They have staying power. They're playing very well. You got to give them credit. Congrats to Mike Zimmer and that coaching staff. You're in my number 4 team.
I like them even more than my 4 team, which is the Rams. They're 9-3. Jared Goff in year 2 is outstanding. Cooper Kupp getting it done at receiver and a running game with Todd Gurley. That's the 3-headed component that you need to be a successful football team. Plus, Sean McVay is pushing all the right buttons. As Mike mentioned, Aaron Donald, they are improved on defense too. Their point differential of plus 139, second most in the NFL. That gets them the 4th spot in my fine 5.
Pittsburgh for me. Pittsburgh the other night struggled on the road to come back to beat Cincinnati. They are the number 1 seed currently in the AFC. They've won 7 in a row. Shazier, that injury, we'll see how long that keeps him out for. He would be a big loss for them if they had to lose Shazier for an extended period of time. He's a
threw the Temple kid in to replace him, and that's definitely. I mean, I love Temple, but I'm sorry, Tyler Matakevich, not Shazier.
Well, Matakevich got injured too, so
there you go.
Good grief.
Guys, my number 3 team actually is the Steelers. I'm keeping them there because I like it when a team finds ways to win. Even they were down to the Bengals, they were down to the Packers. Yeah, they played at the level of their opposition. You know, Casey Jordan calls it Tomlining. But you know what? Give them credit that they're actually winning these games because you know what? Maybe that resilience is going to help them in the long run. They're my number 3 team, Pete.
My number 3 team, the team you like so much, Josh, the Vikings. Now that the Eagles had their streaks snapped, Minnesota's 8-game win streak is tied for the longest in the NFL with the Patriots. They showed me a lot, the Minnesota Vikings did, by going on the road to the ATL and not only beating the Falcons, but holding Matt Ryan and company to just 3 field goals. That Vikes defense is legit. They're my number 3.
I've got the Eagles number 3. Here's the reason. Because of that loss, they fell to number 2, which means if they played the Vikings in the playoffs, that game would be in Minnesota, and that wouldn't be fun. Playing that defense on the road is an issue. So until those two teams flip-flop in the standings, I like Philly 3. And I'll go ahead and tell you, Minnesota, number 2 in my Fine Five. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC, and that home field advantage, crucial in the NFC field.
Guys, my number 2 team is the Eagles. I only knocked them down 1 perch. I'm not going to get involved in the mathematics of these tiebreakers and everything else. Some of that stuff is, listen, even for a sports geek like me, it gets tiring to keep up with all that. I think the Eagles are still a very good team. Losing in Seattle is nothing to be embarrassed about. Seattle's one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. If they lose to the Rams, I'll drop them below 2. But for now, the Eagles are my number 2 team.
I'm with Doug Peterson. I don't have any slide rules or protractors. Still, maybe you can lend me your abacus over there so I can do all the math. I dropped them 1 spot. They were 1. I dropped them to 2. You lose a game to the Seahawks in a game you were favored in, you'd have to drop a spot. But they weren't just handed 10 wins. Point differential plus 146. That leads the whole league. They're a perfect 6-0 at home, which is, of course, why they want that home field advantage so much. They're my number 2.
That's the Fine Five and the Ugly Five, brought to you by Miller Lite. 96 calories, hold true.
I guess we're just assuming the Patriots are 1, right?
We are.
We didn't actually state it.
I mean, unless you I didn't have the Saints in my Fine Five.
I did not have the Saints in my Fine Five either.
I didn't have the Rams in mine.
You didn't have the Rams. I didn't have the Saints. No Seattle, no Carolina, no Jacksonvilles, no Tennessees.
Patriots.